Hey, tonight, we're diving into the true grit of ancient Romanat, the grand marble statues, epic battles, or toga-wrapped senators from movies, but the day-to-day grind of life in one of history's most powerful civilizations. Think you could survive it? Let's find out. If you're enjoying these historical deep dives, I'd really appreciate a quick like or a subscribe. It genuinely helps more than you know. And I'm always curious, where are you listening from tonight? And what time is it there? Drop your city and your local time in the comments. It's always incredible seeing how this sleepy little history community spans across the globe. Now, dim those lights. Maybe turn on a soft fan for some white noise and settle in. Because tonight, you're not lounging in your modern home anymore. No, you've just woken up in the middle of ancient Rome, somewhere between the 1st century BCE and 1st century CE. The good news, you're part of the most dominant empire the ancient world has ever known. The bad news, you're not a senator, a patrician, or a well-fed general. You're an average Roman, a nobody. And your chances of surviving even a single day? Let's just say they aren't great. Your eyes flutter open to the sound of distant voices echoing through a stone corridor and the clatter of sandals on uneven cobblestone. You're sleeping on a straw-filled sack, and your back feels like it's been pummeled by a centurion's training club. You sit up and immediately notice the smell. It's not just unpleasant, it's overwhelming. A heavy mixture of sweat, rot, urine, smoke, and spoiled food. You see, sanitation wasn't exactly Rome's strong suit. Sure, they had public baths, but not everyone used them daily, especially the poor. And toilets? If you're lucky. Your Insulith apartment building where you now live has a chamber pot or a shared latrine in the alley out back. Otherwise, you'll be dumping your waste into a pot and tossing it out the window, same as your neighbors. Don't forget to yell, "Cave can 'em!" or something similar first. Watch out below, so no one's unlucky enough to walk under your secondhand soup. You rub your temples and look around. Your room is barely larger than a closet, with crumbling plaster walls, a tiny oil lamp, and a single ragged tunic hanging from a nail. You're thirsty, but there's no clean drinking water inside. The local aqueduct does bring water to the city, but you'll have to walk to a public fountain and hope the queue isn't too long. Boiling the water to kill bacteria? That's not even on your radar. You toss on your tunicets rough, itchy, and still damp from yesterday's sweatened head out into the noisy, grimy streets. Already, the city is alive. Merchants shout over one another, carts groan under their loads, beggars call out with hollow eyes. The sun is barely up, but the air is thick with smoke and dust. You dodge a runaway pig, step over a pile of what you hope is mud, and head towards your worksite. Because in this version of Rome, you're a day laborer. Maybe you're hauling bricks to a construction site, or helping repair a crumbling aqueduct, or unloading cargo at the docks. Either way, the work is grueling, and the pay is laughable. There are no workers' rights, no breaks, no safety nets. If you drop a crate on your foot, break a bone, or collapse from heat stroke, you're not just out of work, you might be done for good. The average Roman laborer didn't retire. They worked until their bodies gave out. And medical care? Unless you're wealthy, forget it. Most physicians cater to the elite. You might get a poultice or a prayer from a local wise woman, but actual healing is a gamble. Lunch is whatever you can afford: a bit of bread, some olives if you're lucky, maybe a cup of sour wine that tastes like vinegar. There's no refrigeration, so your food is probably half spoiled. You sit in the shade of a crumbling wall, dust clinging to your sweat-slicked skin, and try not to think about how much your feet ache or how little you've eaten. You overhear some men debating politics. Some senator gave a speech in the forum this morning. You want to care? But politics in Rome is a blood sport, literally. Corruption runs deep, and if you're not part of a powerful family, your voice doesn't matter. You're a pawn in a game played by people in marble villas on Palatine Hill, and even they aren't safe. Ambition in Rome is dangerous. Cross the wrong man and you might end up exiled, imprisoned, or worse, face down in the Tiber with a knife in your back. For now, though, your concerns are simpler. Get through the day. Avoid offending the wrong person. Don't get sick. Don't starve. Don't fall off the scaffolding or get crushed under a cart. Don't get conscripted into the military or caught in one of the constant fires that plague the city. And whatever you do, don't speak out of turn near a Roman soldier. The law favors the powerful. And you're just one more anonymous soul grinding away in the belly of the empire. As the sun begins to dip toward the horizon, casting a golden haze over the grime of the city, you return to your cramped insula apartment, each step a small agony. Your back throbs, your hands are blistered, and your stomach growls with a low, hollow ache. But dinner is no grand affair. You manage to barter for a handful of chickpeas, a bit of stale bread, and a small cup of watery wine. Meat is out of the question unless you happen to stumble on some scraps, and even then, you're gambling with spoiled cuts or questionable sources. You sit on the floor in your dimly lit room and chew slowly, trying to stretch each bite. You're not alone. On the other side of the thin wall, a family of 6 argues over a single loaf. Above, a baby cries non-stop while a man coughs deep, wet, and hacking, probably tuberculosis. You think about going out for a walk, but Rome isn't safe after dark, especially not for someone like you. Thieves prowl the alleys, and even the city guards are more likely to shake you down than protect you. There's no police force, as you know, it's just loosely organized watchmen, bribed more often than not. If you get mugged, there's no one to call. If you're stabbed, well, hope someone feels generous enough to carry you to a temple or healer. You instead sit by your window and watch as the oil lamps flicker to life across the street. A procession of priests passes by, chanting praises to some minor deity while swinging incense burners. The smell is pleasant, a brief reprieve from the stink of the streets. You wonder if the gods ever hear prayers like yours. But the Roman gods are fickle, demanding constant tribute and ceremony. And you have neither time nor coin for temples. Religion is everywhere, sure, but it's woven into the politics, the power plays, the performances. You don't need faith to get through the day, you need luck. Or maybe just fewer disasters. As night deepens, the city hums with new life. Brothels open, drunks stumble home, and the forums slowly quiet. You lay down on your sack, bones sore against the wooden floor, and try to rest. You wonder if the floor will hold. Fires are common in Insulae, poorly constructed as they are, and entire buildings collapse under the weight of their own neglect. If you don't burn in your sleep, maybe you'll be trampled in a stampede during a gladiator riot, or crushed when the aqueduct collapses. Or maybe you'll be swept up by the Roman military tomorrow, pressed into service without warning. They need bodies for the frontier, after all. Rome's borders are always bleeding somewhere. You could be in Britannia by month's end, shivering under endless rain and fighting tribes you've never heard of. And even if you stay in the city, you're never safe from plague. The gods might be blind to you, but disease sees everything. You've already known people who coughed blood for days before finally going still. The bathhouses, the public latrines, even the communal fountain saw breeding grounds for filth and infection. Still, you're expected to show up for work tomorrow. Your landlord doesn't care if you're sick. Rent is due, and if you don't pay, someone else will. You close your eyes and try to sleep. The floor creaks with the footsteps of rats. Somewhere outside, a dog howls. Somewhere else, a woman screams, and no one responds. That's just life in Rome. But just as sleep starts to creep in, you're jolted awake by a tremor not from the earth, but from your own body. Hunger, stress, fear. You remind yourself that this is only day 1, and already it feels like too much. There's no clean water to sip, no phone to call for help, no medicine, no peace. The empire may be mighty, but you're just trying to make it to the next sunrise. You turn on your side and pull a ragged cloth over your shoulders. The night will be long, and tomorrow could be worse. Morning comes not with the gentle chirping of birds, but with the blaring shouts of merchants and the grinding of cartwheels over stone. You stir, sore, and unrested, the thin blanket doing nothing to shield you from the morning chill that creeps in through the cracked wall. There's no such thing as a peaceful start to the day here. You stretch, bones creaking, and pull yourself upright. Your clothes from yesterday are the same you'll wear to grimy, stiff, and patched in more places than you can count. You splash a bit of cold water from a cracked jug onto your face. It smells faintly of rust and something worse, but you have no choice. Hygiene is more a matter of ritual than health here, and you know that despite washing, you'll still carry the stench of the streets on your skin. Breakfast is a crust of bread left from last night, and whatever you can scavenge or barter for. Most likely nothing. You pass by the bakery. Its oven's already glowing, but the cost of a fresh loaf is well beyond you. Those are for citizens with coin, or at least decent connections. You're neither. As you make your way back through the winding alleys, stepping over sleeping bodies and avoiding puddles of unnameable liquid, you feel the press of the crowd grow stronger. Rome is bursting at the seams, packed with slaves, freedmen, citizens, foreigners, and more. The narrow streets are a maze of human motion, noise, and tension. The heat begins to rise with the sun, bouncing off the stone buildings and turning the city into a furnace. You wipe sweat from your brow and keep moving. Your job today is hauling water from the Tiber, not from a clean spring or a fresh aqueduct Sorsino. That's reserved for the wealthier districts. You're assigned to carry jugs from the river itself, dodging refuse and filth with every dip of the bucket. The water is brackish and brown. You try not to think about what's in it. Your hands blister around the rope handles as you stagger through the city, delivering jugs to tenement buildings for a few copper coins. You're lucky if you earn enough for a bowl of lentils and a piece of cheese. Around midday, you hear the distant roar of the crowd echoing from the Colosseum. A fight day. That means the streets are even more dangerous soldiers patrolling in case of riots. Drunk citizens flushed with excitement, pickpockets emboldened by the distraction. You duck into a shadowed alley to avoid a group of shouting youths, one of them swinging a broken amphora like a weapon. You're not in the mood to be part of someone's entertainment. Rome loves its spectacles, and the cost of them blood, gold, sapphires paid by people like you. You continue working through the afternoon, your muscles screaming, your stomach twisting with emptiness. Occasionally, you pass a shrine, its offerings wilting in the sunfruit, coins, bits of bread. You wonder what the gods do with all that tribute. You've seen no signs they care. Just beyond the marketplace, a public punishment is underway. A man is being flogged for stealing bread. His cries echo off the stone, but most people barely glance. Justice in Rome is swift, brutal, and deeply unfair. You look away, not from mercy, but fear. You could be next. Back at your insula by evening, you trade your day's earnings for foodsome barley porridge, a few shriveled figs. You eat on the steps, watching as a wealthy man is carried past on a litter, 4 slaves sweating under the weight. He doesn't even glance at you. To him, you're part of the background, as forgettable as a chipped cobblestone. Later that night, the building shakes from a shouting match upstairs. A domestic quarrel? A drunken fight? You don't know and don't want to. Best to keep your head down. The walls are thin, but silence is your shield. You lie down, your mind fogged with fatigue, and stare at the flickering oil lamp above. Tomorrow, it will all happen again. The hunger, the labor, the fear, and you realize something very clear: surviving even one full day in ancient Rome isn't about strength or intelligence. It's about enduring discomfort, constant uncertainty, and knowing that you are replaceable. The empire might last 1,000 years, but you're lucky to last a week. The next morning, you're startled awake by the sharp clang of a bell, someone shouting about a fire nearby. You spring to your feet, heart hammering, and dart to the window. Smoke curls in the sky not far off. Probably another kitchen blaze gone wild. It happens all the time. The buildings are made of wood and cheap concrete, packed tightly together so one careless coal can turn into a city-wide inferno. There's no fire department, just a handful of bucket-wielding volunteers, and maybe a few slaves forced to help if their masters don't mind losing them. You're lucky today. The wind carries the flames away from your block, but the tension in your chest doesn't go away. You haven't even begun your day, and already you've faced a very real possibility of losing everything: your home, your few possessions, your life. And as the smoke rises into the pale sky, you can't help but think, no one will come to save you if that happens. You're on your own. You always are. With aching limbs, you step back out into the chaos of the city. The air is already thick with shouts, animals, the ring of blacksmiths hammering iron into shape, the bickering of vendors. Rome doesn't sleep, it buzzes constantly. Your work today has changed. You're assigned to help repair a collapsed section of sewer beneath one of the busier streets. The Cloaca Maxima, Rome's great sewer system, sounds impressive until you're in it. The smell is unbearable. Rotten vegetables, human waste, animal carcasses, you name it. You tie a strip of cloth over your nose and mouth, but it doesn't help much. It's hot down here. Claustrophobic, slippery. You're handed a crude shovel and instructed to clear a section clogged with debris. You dig until your hands go numb, until sweat soaks your tunic and stings your eyes. Around you, men cough and gag, wiping muck from their faces. One slips and cuts his head on a stone. He's pulled out, bleeding, and the foreman just shrugs. He can rest when he's dead. Someone jokes. No one laughs. It's too close to the truth. After hours underground, you finally crawl back into the daylight, gasping for air. The sun feels blinding. Your skin itches from the filth. But there's no bath waiting for you, no clean change of clothes, no hot meal to greet you. You walk home reeking, head low, trying not to attract attention. On your way back, you pass a religious procession, priests chanting as they drag a sacrificed bull toward a temple. Blood drips across the street, mixing with the dust. You step around it carefully, unsure whether it's bad luck or divine favor to get it on your sandals. You don't feel any more blessed either way. Back at the insula, you find that the building next to yours has collapsed. Poor construction again, or maybe just age. People are digging through rubble, shouting names, trying to find survivors. You recognize a face or two gone now. No one's coming to investigate. No reparations. The city moves on. You keep walking. Inside, you collapse onto your straw bed, too tired to eat. Your hands shake. Your nails are black with grime. You stare at the ceiling and think about how far Rome has stretched its armies conquering distant lands, its engineers building wonders, its emperors throwing games to celebrate victories in places you'll never see. But none of that changes your life. All that power, and you're still down here in the dirt. You've been in Rome 3 days now, and every one of them could have killed you. Every one of them still might. You close your eyes and try to remember what quiet sounds like. Maybe you'll dream of trees, of clean water, of stillness, but probably not. The city doesn't let go that easily, not even in sleep, especially not in sleep. Your 4th day in ancient Rome begins not with sunlight, but with shouting angry voices echoing through the stairwell of your insula. You sit up groggily, rubbing your eyes, and listen. Someone's being evicted, not for failure to pay, but because the landlord found a new tenant willing to pay slightly more. That's the rule here. Money talks, and everyone else gets out of the way. You hear furniture being dragged, the shrill cries of children, the dull thud of something heavy tumbling down the stairs. You don't go to help. No one does. Everyone's too afraid of getting noticed, of getting involved. You keep your head down. That's how you survive. After a quick wash using water left in a cracked bowl, you choke down a small piece of salted fish. It's all you could afford after yesterday's pitiful pay. Still, you're luckier than some. You head out for another day of labor, this time transporting stones from a construction site near the Forum. The city is always building, always expanding new temples, statues, bathhouses. The wealthiest citizens get marble columns and mosaic floors. You get to carry the stones that make it happen. The work is brutal. Each block is heavier than the last. Your shoulders scream in protest. One slip and you risk a crushed foot or worse. There are no safety protocols, no medics on standby. If you're injured, you lose your job. If you lose your job, you lose your place to sleep. And if you lose that, well, you've seen what happens. You pass them every day, ragged figures curled up in doorways, their hands stretched out in silent pleas. Begging in Rome is common, but compassion is rare. By midday, the sun is directly overhead, and the air feels like it's pressing down on you. You're drenched in sweat, every breath coming shallow. There's no shade, no breeze, just heat radiating off stone and bodies. A man near you faints and collapses onto the road. The foreman curses and tells someone to drag him aside. He'll cool off or he won't, he mutters. No one stops to help. You don't either. You can't afford to. Instead, you keep hauling, jaw clenched, eyes half closed against the dust. In the afternoon, your path takes you past the Circus Maximus. Even from a distance, you hear the roar of the crowd, the pounding of hooves, the clash of metal. Chariot races. The people of Rome live for spectacle games, executions, gladiator matches, processions, bread and circuses, distraction and survival. You wonder what it must be like to sit in the stands, cheering, carefree. But you don't have the time or the coin. Instead, you haul your final load of the day back to the worksite, hands shaking, mouth dry. Your reward? A small pouch of coin barely enough to buy a modest supper. You head to the market and spend what you can on lentils and an overripe pomegranate. You chew the seeds slowly, eyes darting around, always watching. Pickpockets work these crowds like wolves in a flock of sheep. You keep your back to the wall, your hand near your money pouch, and leave quickly. Evening falls and the streets grow tense. You avoid a scuffle near a tavern, two men shouting over a game of dice, one brandishing a dagger. You duck down an alley to avoid the watchmen who look just as ready to shake you down as the criminals. Back at your building, a neighbor tells you there's talk of plague in the next district over. No one's sure yet. A few people coughing blood. Some fever. You say nothing, but your chest tightens. There's no hospital. No quarantine. If it spreads here, it will burn through your insula like wildfire. And there be nowhere to run. You climb the stairs slowly, joints aching. At your door, you pause, listen to the quiet inside, and breathe. Safe. For now. You step inside, light your oil lamp, and sit. Another day survived. Barely. You look out the window at the flickering lamps along the street. A dog howls in the distance. Somewhere, a baby cries. Somewhere else, someone prays. But you? You just sit, holding your knees to your chest, trying to remember what hope feels like. Rome may be glorious, may be the center of the world, but you're not part of that glory. You're the foundation it's built on, forgotten, overworked, and utterly expendable. The fifth day greets you with a strange quiet. Not silence. Rome never truly sleeps, but a subdued hum, like the city itself is holding its breath. You sense it before you even open your eyes. You peek out your window and see the streets oddly empty for morning. That's when you notice the red marks smeared on the doorposts across the alley. Not paint, not graffiti. It's a warning plague. The rumors from the night before weren't rumors anymore. You swallow hard, stomach tightening, and pull away from the window. You know what happens now. People will begin to vanish. Some will flee, though they have nowhere to go. The rest will hide and pray the sickness passes them by. But prayers don't carry much weight in Rome unless you're wealthy enough to fund a temple. For you, the only gods that answer are hunger and fear. You wrap a cloth around your mouth, though you know it probably won't help. Still, it's something. Today's work has been canceled. Too many people sick or afraid to come outside. You should rest, but instead you pace. With no coin, you can't afford food. With no work, you can't pay your rent. With plague nearby, you can't risk wandering. You're trapped. Hunger grows with every hour. You boil water, trying to make it seem like a meal. It isn't. The day stretches on. By late afternoon, there's a knock at your door. You don't answer right away. No one knocks here unless it's trouble. But the voice is familiar. It's a neighbor, an older man from the unit downstairs. He asks if you've got any spare oil. His lamp went out, and he's afraid of the dark. You give him what you can. He nods silently and shuffles away. It's a small thing, but it feels like the only human moment you've had in days. As night falls, the city takes on a different kind of menace. There are no cheers from the arenas, no music from the taverns, just coughing, low, hacking sounds echoing off stone walls. The plague is here. You sit on your mattress, arms around your knees, oil lamp flickering beside you. You don't feel sick yet, but you know it's only a matter of time. People here don't survive by luck. They survive by being invisible, insignificant, forgotten. You wonder if that's enough. You think of the emperors, the senators, the men in togas, reclining on marble couches with their wine and poets. They'll be fine, of course. They always are. They have physicians, private cisterns, food stores. The gods favor them. Or maybe the gods don't exist at all. You don't know anymore. Sleep doesn't come. Instead, you lie still, counting the seconds between coughs outside. You try to picture the world beyond the city. Green fields, trees swaying in the wind, the smell of fresh rain, things that feel like dreams now. Rome is beautiful from a distance, its temples, aqueducts, and palaces gleaming in the sun. But down here, in the belly of it, it's something else entirely. Dirty, desperate, relentless, and so are you. Another day ends, you're still alive. And in Rome, that's the highest praise anyone like you can hope for. Day 6 dawns in eerie stillness. The sun casts long, golden streaks across cracked stone, but the warmth doesn't touch your bones. It's been days since you've eaten anything solid. Your limbs tremble when you rise, and your thoughts feel slow, sludgy. You know the plague has worsened, more red marks have appeared, more neighbors are missing. Last night, you heard footsteps on the stairs that never came back down. A cart passed in the middle of the night, wooden wheels groaning, collecting bodies. You didn't open your door. You couldn't. Today, there is no work. Not because the jobs are gone, but because the laborers are. Entire crews have vanished. Rome will replace them. Rome always does. You sit by the window, watching a man in a black cloak mark another door. He doesn't knock, just makes the sign and walks on. Inside that home, someone is still breathing, still dying. You wonder how long until he visits yours. Hunger gnaws at your gut. You try to barter for bread with the last of your coins, but the market is chaos. Prices have tripled. The vendor glares at you and points to a sign. No charity, no touching. You offer to sweep his stall, carry goods, anything. He waves you off. You're not sick, but you look it. That's enough to make you dangerous. You leave with nothing. As you walk home, the city feels alien. Fires smolder in abandoned corners. Statues of gods loom high above, their stone eyes watching silently, unmoved by the suffering below. You pass the Tiber, its murky water low and sluggish. Someone has tied a note to the base of a bridge, pillar pleading for divine mercy. It's smeared, unreadable now. A few paces away, a woman is singing softly to herself, her hands covered in ash. You don't stop. You've learned not to. Back at the insula, a few remaining tenants are moving out what's left of them, anyway. They don't speak to you, just carry bundles of cloth and food, eyes hollow. You consider leaving too, but you wouldn't get far. Not like this. You're too weak, too exposed. You go upstairs and shut your door. The room smells of sweat and oil. The walls seem to breathe around you. You lie down and stare at the ceiling, hoping the nausea passes. You dream of places you've never seen, lush fields, gentle rivers, a breeze that smells of herbs and sunlight. Not Rome. Never Rome. When you wake, it's night. You're cold despite the thick heat in the air. Your lips are dry. The coughing outside has lessened not because people are healing, but because their voices have gone silent. You close your eyes again and count the thumps of your heart, slow and heavy. You tell yourself, just make it to morning. Just one more day. It's always one more day. Day 7 begins with thundernot from the sky, but from the streets below. A riot has broken out near the Forum. You hear the roar of voices, the clatter of running feet, the clash of wood against stone. People have finally snapped. Too much fear, too little food, and the knowledge that no help is coming. You press yourself to the window and see them, men and women alike, faces twisted with hunger and rage, looting carts and smashing stalls. The Praetorian Guard arrives quickly, and, with brutal precision, they descend. There are no warnings, no arrests, just clubs and blades and screams. You flinch as someone stumbles into view, blood streaming from their temple, only to be kicked aside like trash. You shut the window and retreat into the darkness of your room. Rome has always thrived on spectacle, and even its decay feels theatrical now. You sit for hours in silence, clutching your knees, listening as the chaos fades into dull groans. Later, the scent of smoke wafts and something nearby is burning. Probably a market, probably intentional. An attempt to kill the disease with fire, though you suspect it's far too late for that. You finally leave your room around midday, legs trembling from hunger and disuse. You need water. The communal cistern in the courtyard is nearly dry. People crowd around it, eyes sunken, clothes clinging to frail bodies. You wait in line, trying not to breathe too deeply, trying not to brush against anyone. When your turn comes, the water tastes metallic and warm, but you drink deeply. A little boy behind you coughs once, then again, harsher. His mother pulls him close, but you see the fear in her eyes. She knows. Everyone does. You nod and walk away. There's nothing else you can do. As you pass the bakery, you catch the scent of bread-reel bread, warm and yeasty. It hits your nose like a memory. The bakery has been boarded up for days, but now, somehow, it's open. You don't question it. You approach the door, heart pounding. Inside, a young woman is selling what's left of her stock. Her sleeves are rolled high, and she moves quickly, never meeting anyone's eyes. You offer her everything: coins, scraps, even the sandals from your feet. She takes the coins and hands you a small, misshapen loaf. You hold it like a holy relic. It's the first real food you've had in days. You don't eat it all at once. You take it home, tear it into small pieces, and chew slowly, eyes closed. You let each bite rest on your tongue. You cry, just a little, and you don't know why. Maybe it's relief. Maybe it's shame. You fall asleep with the crust still in your hand. When you wake, it's nearly dark. A note has been slipped under your door. It's from the neighbor downstairs, the old man you gave the lamp oil to. It's scrawled on a torn piece of parchment, barely legible. If you hear screaming tonight, don't open your door. That's it. No explanation. You read it twice, then lock the door. You place your back against it and listen. Rome breathes in the dark. Somewhere out there, people are fighting to stay alive. Somewhere else, someone has given up. And you? You sit in silence, waiting for the screaming to begin. Day 8 comes not with screams, but with sobs. Quiet ones, muffled through walls and floors. You recognize the voice. It's the old man downstairs. He's crying. You sit still, listening, feeling a strange heaviness in your chest. Rome has taken many things from you: sleep, certainty, safety, but somehow this sound hurts the most. A grown man, utterly broken. Eventually the sobbing stops and you hear nothing more. You don't go down to check. You've learned better. It's mid-morning before you step out into the alley. The air smells thick smoke, sickness, unwashed humanity. A stray cat darts past you, its ribs sharp under filthy fur. Just silence. You pass the spot where street performers used to juggle and sing. Now it's empty, save for an overturned cart and dried stains on the stone. You continue walking toward the Tiber, needing space, needing something that isn't crumbling brick and hopeless faces. The river is lower than ever, trickling lazily past moldy foundations and empty docks. You sit on a stone ledge, legs dangling. This city, this empire, it was supposed to be eternal. That's what the poets said. But right now, it feels anything but. All around you, greatness is rotting, and no one in a palace is coming to fix it. You stay there until the sun begins to dip, watching birds circle high above, watching people emerge like shadows from doorways. Everyone is thinner now, paler. No one talks. No one smiles. You head back slowly, passing a temple where incense burns in heavy clouds. A priest chants alone on the steps, his voice hoarse, eyes hollow. You stop and listen. He doesn't ask for coin, doesn't even seem to see you, just repeats the same lines over and over, something about protection, about mercy, about the gods hearing the cries of the faithful. You keep walking. You're not sure anyone's listening. Back in your building, you check on the old man's door. It's slightly ajar. You push it open with 2 fingers. Inside, it's dark, cold. He's gone. There's a folded cloth where his bed should be, and a small wooden bowl on the floor, filled with half-burnt herbs. You shut the door gently and return to your own room. You don't speak. You don't cry. You sit. Night falls. Somewhere nearby, a woman sings again softly, sadly. The same tune you heard days ago. It drifts in through the cracks in the wall, and for the first time, you hum along. Not because it helps, but because it's something human, something left. Day 9 breaks with the sound of a bell-sharp, metallic, echoing across the rooftops. It's not from a temple, not ceremonial. It's the signal for another quarantine. The guards are sealing the neighborhood. No one enters. No one leaves. You hear the heavy clank of iron gates being drawn shut, chains locking tight, orders shouted in clipped Latin. You rush to the window. Down the street, a group of men in leather aprons and cloth-wrapped faces are dragging wooden barriers into place. The plague must have reached the next district, maybe yours. You retreat from the window. You've got water, a crust of bread, and 2 cracked oil lamps. You'll have to make it last. The walls of your room feel tighter than before. Your head swims. You haven't bathed in days, haven't spoken to another person properly in even longer. You try to distract yourself by cleaning your hands, moving without thought, scrubbing the same spot on the floor again and again until your fingers cramp. Outside, children cry. Dogs bark. Somewhere, a fight breaks out. You hear glass shatter. A woman screams. Then silence. Always that heavy, pressing silence. You think about your family if they're even still alive, wherever they are. You think about your old life before Rome. About laughter, about color. Everything here is gray and dust. Noon comes and goes. The heat grows unbearable. Your oil lamp runs low. You ration the wick, trimming it with shaking hands. In the corridor, someone collapses. You hear their body thud against the stone. You wait. No one comes to help. You don't either. You've learned what happens to helpers. You curl up in the corner of your room, eyes on the ceiling. Your breath comes in shallow bursts. You count them to keep panic at bay. Around 60, you stop. You let your eyes drift shut. When you wake again, it's night. The air smells differentiature, almost sweet. Smoke again, but mixed with herbs. You hear chanting from somewhere, not Roman Latin, but something older, darker. Superstition is spreading. People are burning sage, salt, sacrificing animals. They think it will drive the sickness out. You stare at the ceiling and whisper to yourself. Not prayers exactly, but old songs from your childhood. You don't know why. Maybe it's the rhythm. Maybe it helps the fear pass quicker. Maybe it makes you feel less alone. Your body aches, and your stomach has stopped growling. It's empty now. Just a hollow, quiet burn deep in your belly. You haven't eaten all day. You close your eyes and picture a feast. Olives, fish grilled in honey, fresh figs, crusty bread dipped in oil. You can almost taste it. Almost someone knocks on your door. You freeze. Just once, then silence. You don't move. You don't speak. You wait, back pressed against the wall, barely breathing. Whoever it was doesn't knock again. You remain frozen for hours, ears straining, mind reeling. You never hear footsteps leave. Maybe they're still there. You don't sleep that night. Rome is full of ghosts, and you're afraid to become one. Day 10 begins before the sun rises. You never slept. You sit by the shuttered window, arms wrapped around your knees, watching the darkness lift into an ashen gray. No birds sing, no carts creak. The city is holding its breath. You feel something change in the air, something subtle, like the pause before a storm. And sure enough, by mid-morning, it rains. For the first time in weeks, a cold, steady drizzle that slicks the cobblestones and carries the scent of rotten, wet stone. You step out into it, letting the water soak your skin, your tunic, your hair. It feels like baptism, like penance. You tilt your head back and let it hit your face, your mouth. The rain tastes like rust. Still, you drink. You're not the only one. All along the alley, people stand motionless in the open, faces lifted to the sky. No one speaks. It's as if you're all sharing the same fragile dream, but the moment is short. The rain stops, the heat returns, and reality sets back in. You return inside, wringing water from your sleeves. You feel briefly human again. But hunger claws at that, feeling like a beast. There's nothing left. You take your knife, the one dull enough to be useless for defense, but good enough for slicing bread, and head down the stairs. You'll find something. You have to. The streets are strange today. Quieter, yet more dangerous. You feel watched. Not by people, but by the buildings themselves. The facades of temples and forums leer down at you like judgmental gods. You pass a collapsed stall and find a smashed crate of rotting apples. You pick through them, choosing the least ruined one. It's soft, bruised, but edible. You eat it slowly, bite by bite, like treasure. At the edge of the forum, a woman is trading soup for labor. You offer to clean. She nods once silently and hands you a bundle of reeds. You scrub the stone until your arms shake. In exchange, she gives you a bullock, warm, thin, full of bitter greens, and one small chunk of meat. It's the best thing you've tasted in weeks. You thank her. She says nothing, just moves to the next desperate soul. You return home with a piece of bread she let you take. You try not to eat it all. You fail. That night, you lie on your back, belly no longer aching, but your body sore from labor. And somehow, you're grateful. Grateful for pain that isn't sickness. Grateful for food that didn't come from a corpse. Grateful to still be breathing. The stars are out tonight sharp, cold points in a velvet sky. You whisper their names, the ones you remember from your childhood. It comforts you more than it should. You don't dream, you just rest. For the first time in many nights, the city feels still. Not safe, never safe, but still. And in this stillness, you feel something like hope. Small, fragile, but there. A flicker in the dark. You fall asleep with that flicker tucked behind your ribs, just in case tomorrow is worse. Day 11 wakes you with the sound of footsteps, many of them, hurried, heavy, echoing in the corridor. You leap up, heart pounding. Someone yells outside. Then another voice barks back, deeper, official. Soldiers. You press your ear to the door and listen. Everyone out. One of them commands. Inspection. Your stomach sinks. Inspections mean only one thing now, purge. You quickly gather your few belongings, hiding anything of value in the cracks behind the wall. You don't want to be accused of hoarding or resisting. The door bursts open before you can even finish. A pair of soldiers in leather and bronze step in, eyes scanning the room like hawks. Name? They ask. You give it. They glance at each other. You're lucky, one mutters. Keep quiet. Stay inside after sundown. Then they're gone, on to the next door. You stand frozen for a long moment. It wasn't a search, it was a warning. You peer out the window and see a wagon being loaded down the street, bodies wrapped in cloth, stacked like firewood. No ceremony, no priest, just efficiency. The cart rolls away, and with it, a piece of your soul. Later that day, you hear word that the Emperor's advisor has fallen ill. Not just rumors, this time confirmed. Panic spreads like wildfire. People whisper that the palace is cursed, that the gods have turned their backs completely. Some blame the Christians. Others blame the Senate. Most just look for someone weaker to punish. You stay indoors, you don't speak. You eat the last of your bread and drink rainwater you saved in a cracked amphora. Night falls heavy. The streets echo with shouts. You hear a woman scream, a man cry out, something crash and shatter. You curl up in the corner of your room, and cover your ears. You don't want to know. You just want morning. But when it finally comes, it's worse. The sky is red clouds tinged with ash. Sun, a dull orange ball behind a choking haze. Fires must be burning again, somewhere beyond the walls. The air is dry, acidic. You tie a cloth around your face and venture out for supplies, but the bakery is shuttered. The soup stall is gone. The woman who gave you work? Her doorway is marked now. A black smear of pitch across the lintel. Quarantine. You walk further than you ever have, past unfamiliar streets, until you reach a part of Rome that still breathes. A market half empty, barely alive. You trade your last possession, an old ring, for a small pouch of grain. The man who takes it doesn't even look at you. On the way back, you pass an old bathhouse, door wide open. It's empty, cold, but the pipes still drip. You strip down and step inside, letting the water trickle over your skin. It's not warm, it's not clean, but it's water. And for a brief moment, you feel human again. That night, you light your last lamp and sit in silence. Your clothes hang drying by the window. You sip boiled water from a cracked cup, and as the city groans and shifts outside, you allow yourself to breathe. Just once, deep, slow, alive. You made it another day. That's all you can ask for. Day 12 begins in darkness, not from night, but from smoke. Thick plumes drift in from the hills, cloaking the city in a choking gray veil. The fires are closer now, maybe in the next district. You cover your face with a damp cloth and push open the shutters. The sky glows faintly orange in the distance, and you hear the constant crackle of burning timber mixed with the occasional collapse of something large. Rome is eating itself. The heat has returned, intensified by the haze. Breathing is an effort. You venture into the corridor and find your neighbors packing, whispering, panicking. South, one says, to the aqueducts. It's safer there. You don't know if they're right. You don't know if anywhere is safe anymore. Still, movement feels better than waiting to be buried in your sleep. You stuff your remaining grain into a sack, throw on your cloak, and follow the stream of people heading away from the smoke. The streets are packed, merchants with carts, children clutching rags, priests muttering prayers no one listens to. A donkey collapses in the road, and no one helps. Everyone steps around it, eyes forward. The buildings thin as you reach the city's edge. You pass a crumbling shrine where a man is burning incense and weeping. He offers you a pinch of salt. You take it without a word. Past the walls, the land flattens into dry fields and neglected vineyards. The aqueduct looms ahead, massive, skeletal, ancient. A few dozen people are already camped beneath its arches, laying out mats and kindling small fires. You find a space and sit. The air is clearer here. You can finally breathe without pain. Around you, the displaced settle into uneasy quiet. No one talks much. What is there to say? The city is dying, and you're all just witnesses. At dusk, someone starts singing a slow, mournful melody that rises and falls like the hills around you. Others join in. Voices soft, uncertain. You recognize the tune. It's an old hymn, one your grandmother used to hum. You sing too, barely above a whisper. For the first time in days, your heart access not from fear, but from memory. You think of all you've lost, all that's been taken. Friends, safety, hope. Rome isn't a city anymore. It's a wound that festers in silence. Night falls. You lie on your side, using your sack as a pillow, the stones beneath you hard and unkind. But at least the stars are visible. At least you're not alone. Around you, the others sleep fitfully, twitching with dreams. You stare at the sky until your eyes blur, until the ache behind your ribs turns dull. And in that space between exhaustion and despair, you finally sleep. A real sleep, deep and silent. The kind that only comes after you've lost everything except the will to wake up again. You don't dream, but you rest. And for now, that's enough. Day 13 wakes you with cold dew on your skin and the distant murmur of conversation. You blink slowly, adjusting to the pale dawn light, And for a moment you forget where you are until the ache in your limbs and the rough ground remind you. You're still here, still alive, still in Rome, or what's left of it. The camp beneath the aqueduct has grown overnight. More families, more carts, more wandering eyes scanning the horizon. A makeshift fire burns low nearby, and someone is roasting something that smells like dried roots. Your stomach clenches. You haven't eaten since yesterday's handful of grain. You sit up and sip from your water skin, now nearly empty. Someone offers you a piece of flatbread burnt at the edges, thin as parchment. You accept it with a grateful nod. No one speaks much. It's as if words themselves have become too heavy to lift. You decide to walk. The fields nearby were once vineyards, lush and full of life, now brittle with drought and ash. You spot a few olive trees farther up the slope, and though they bear almost no fruit, you manage to find one shriveled olive clinging to a branch. It's bitter, but it's food. Every step feels heavier now, not from exhaustion alone, but from the growing knowledge that this may not end soon, that Rome may never truly recover. You think back to your first day, how foreign and overwhelming the city felt. And now it feels like a familiar kind of madness. You know, the sounds, the smells, the signs of danger. You're becoming part of it. And that's what frightens you most. On your way back to the aqueduct, you see smoke again thicker this time, black and swirling, rising from a cluster of homes at the edge of the city. Another fire, another family burned out of shelter. You hurry back. People are packing. Again. Word spreads that soldiers are clearing the area, making way for a new containment zone. No one fights it, they just move. You follow them south, beyond the ruins of old estates, into a grove where the air is cooler, where the trees still offer some shade. It's quieter here, less ash, less noise. You set up your little corner beneath a tree and dig a shallow hole for your fire. You boil your last bit of grain and sip it slowly. More broth than meal, but warm at least. That night, you hear someone reciting stories by the fire tales of heroes and gods, of Rome in its prime, before plague and fire and fear. You listen with your eyes closed, pretending, just for a moment, that you're hearing them in a marble courtyard with wine in your hand and sandals on your feet instead of blisters. The story ends with laughter, real laughter, and it stirs something inside you. You open your eyes and look around. People are tired, broken, lost, but still here, still telling stories, still surviving. You realize that maybe that's what history really is, not glory or conquest or marble statues, but this. Sitting beneath a tree, hungry and worn, yet still sharing firelight and stories with strangers who are trying to hold on to their humanity. You lie down and close your eyes. And for the first time in many days, you let yourself believe that you'll see tomorrow. Day 14 doesn't begin with sunrise, it begins with thunder. Not the stormy kind, but the heavy rumble of marching feet and creaking carts. You wake instantly, heart pounding, and scramble to your feet. From the ridge above, a line of Roman soldiers pours down the road, their armor glinting dully through the ash-filled light. Behind them, wagons carry supplies. Banners wave faintly in the smoke-hazed air. And then just for a moment you see something shocking. An imperial crest. These aren't just soldiers. This is an envoy. Maybe even someone close to the emperor. People rise from their resting spots to watch, whispering. A few cheer. Most are silent, wary. One of the officers halts near the grove and calls out for order. His voice is loud, sharp, practiced. By decree of the Senate and the command of the Emperor, this region is to be cleared for relief efforts. A temporary field camp will be established. You will be relocated. Water and bread will be provided. The crowd stirs. No one moves. Then another officer starts handing out bread loaves, real ones, thick and warm. You haven't seen bread like that in weeks. You step forward with the others, hands out. The soldier doesn't look at anyone, just places the bread in palms and moves on. You eat slowly, savoring every chew. It fills your mouth, your throat, your belly. It's the first time in 2 weeks you feel full. Soon, crates of water and salted fish arrive. Tents are set up. A proper latrine is dug. A physician, accompanied by a young assistant, walks through the grove offering tinctures and wrapping wounds. It's surreal, like watching Rome remember just barely how to care for its people. By evening, the grove has become an organized camp. Fires are lit in neat rows. Guards patrol. Children laugh as they chase each other through the grass. You sit near a fire, warming your hands, listening to someone play a reed flute. The melody is simple, lilting, almost cheerful. Someone passes around dried figs. You take one, soft and sweet. It feels like a feast. A woman beside you hums along to the flute. You exchange names. Hers is Livia. She's from the east, from Antioch. Her husband died last week, and her eyes still carry the storm. But she smiles, just faintly, and you feel something in your chest loosen. That night, under a blanket given by the soldiers, you sleep well. No screams, no fire, just the soft rustle of trees and the crackle of coals. For the first time in days, you dream not of death or decay, but of home. Not your real home, but the one that lives in your memory. Fresh bread, a garden, laughter. You wake with the taste of it still in your mouth. You stretch and sit up, brushing dew from your cheeks. People are already moving, washing, stirring pots. It's still hard, it's still Rome, but today, it feels survivable. And that changes everything. Day 15 begins with something you haven't heard in weeks. Birdsong. It's faint, carried on the morning wind from the far side of the grove, but it's real. You lie still, listening to it like a secret. Around you, the camp is already stirring. Fires are being rekindled, pots set to boil, and the steady rhythm of rebuilding has begun. The soldiers stoic and silent as ever move between tents, handing out small rations and filling water jars. One of them nods to you, a quiet gesture, but it feels significant. You nod back. The warmth from the fire is gentle on your hands, and as you sip your watered-down wine ration, you allow yourself to settle into this new rhythm. There is no talk of going back to the city. Rome, as it was, feels distant now, a shadow smoldering in the background. What matters is this morning, the simplicity of it. Livia joins you again, carrying a woven basket filled with small forage roots and herbs. For the healer, she says, but they'll share. She sits beside you and begins peeling them with a dull knife, the shavings falling into the fire. You watch the steam rise together, not speaking. Words feel too loud for this kind of peace. A group of children begins forming a game nearby, chasing one another around a half-built tent. One of them pretends to be a lion, roaring dramatically. For a moment, it sounds like joy. The healer stops by your fire later in the morning. She examines a scrape on your hand and leaves a cloth-wrapped poultice behind. Watch for fever, she says. Too many infections lately. But her tone is lighter, now less grim, more routine. You nod. Everything about life now has shrunk to the smallest of scales. Bread, wounds, water, sleep. The big ideas, glory, empire, power have faded into irrelevance. Afternoon arrives with wind. It kicks up dust, ripples the tarps, sends sparks from the fires dancing. You wrap your cloak tighter and retreat beneath the tree that's become your shelter. You nap briefly, head on your arm, and wake to the sound of a soldier reciting lines from Virgil to a bored-looking scribe. You don't catch the meaning, but the cadence is soothing. Later, someone discovers a patch of wild onions. Livia cooks them in a cracked pot with a little salted fish. The smell brings people from other fires. A dozen of you eat together, passing bowls, trading stories, laughing quietly. It's the kind of gathering that would have gone unnoticed weeks ago, just another evening. But now, it feels sacred. After dinner, an older man, perhaps a former senator or scholar, stands and tells a tale from his youth. A story of a lost necklace, a wild chase through alleyways, a dramatic misunderstanding that ended in unexpected friendship. The firelight flickers across his face as he speaks, and for a moment, everyone leans in, caught in the net of words. You laugh aloud when he delivers the punchline. It feels good, real. Livia smiles beside you. You realize the human spirit, though battered, still has embers that burn quietly in moments like these. You lie awake for a while after that, staring up through the branches. The stars are clear tonight, no smoke to veil them. You count them slowly, like steps away from the darkness of the past weeks. And before your eyes close, before sleep drags you under again, you whisper a simple truth to yourself. You made it. Again. You survived the day. Not because of strength or luck, but because people around you chose to live. And that choice, more than any army or emperor, is what keeps Rome breathing. Day 16 dawns colder than expected, the kind of crispness that clings to your fingers and ears even before the sun has fully risen. The grove is silent, except for the quiet cracking of kindling and the rustle of blankets as people begin to stir. You sit up slowly, joints stiff but working, and stretch beneath the canopy of still damp leaves. Your breath fogs in the morning air. Across from you, a boy is helping his mother hang damp tunics between two trees, using strips of old fabric as rope. It's a domestic sight, something gentle and ordinary. It reminds you again how even here, even now, life is stubborn. You pull on your sandals and walk the camp's edge. The soldiers have started building a more permanent structure, nearby wooden posts driven into the earth, canvas stretched into makeshift walls. A grain cart arrived at dawn, and you helped unload it, earning a small bundle of lentils and a pinch of salt. The work is hard but clear. There's comfort in knowing what to do and seeing the result instantly. Sacks stacked, goods sorted, back sore but purposeful. Livia joins you again by midday, carrying a small pouch of herbs gathered from beyond the grove. She's been learning from the healer and now speaks of plants with calm authority, what reduces swelling, what helps sleep, what stops a wound from turning. You nod along, grateful for her presence. Her voice cuts through the quiet in a way that feels grounding. Together you clean a patch of earth and plant a few seeds gifted by a passing farmer: spinach, barley, maybe some beans. No one expects miracles, but again, the act itself is the meaning. It says, "We plan to stay alive." In the afternoon, the officer who once handed you bread approaches. His face is hard, but his voice is level. He asks your name, your trade, how long you've been displaced. "It's part of a new registry," he explains. "Relief is coming. More grain, maybe shelter, maybe even coin." The idea of coin feels laughable after weeks of living by roots in boiled water. But you nod, answer, offer what little you can. When he leaves, you watch his armor shimmer in the sun, dulled but still proud. Later that day, a man plays a stringed instrumental lyre, strung with gut and patched with resin. His fingers dance despite the chill, and the music carries gently through the camp. People gather in small knots, listening. Children fall asleep to the rhythm. You watch a girl lean her head on her mother's shoulder and exhale slowly, deeply, the way you might if you'd been holding your breath for days. As dusk descends, Livia cooks again, this time with the lentils you earned, her herbs, and a scrap of dried meat. The stew is thin but rich in flavor. You eat together under the trees, sharing smiles and silence. Across the grove, someone starts a quiet chant, one of the old Roman songs sung during harvest festivals. Slowly, others join in. You hum without knowing the words, feeling the vibration in your chest. A small wind moves through the branches, scattering dry leaves. You let them fall into your lap and brush them away gently, like the memories of who you were before all of this. The stars blink awake overhead. You lie back, hands folded across your chest, and close your eyes. You no longer fear the dark. You've lived inside it and learned its shape. What matters now is the return of morning and the next small task. One more day, one more breath, one more story lived in the ashes of Rome.